that's kind of across the spectrum in terms of production companies, so some more traditional media through to more scalable digital media startups. So what some of the things that I would say. Oh, and I should mention, this week in this room, we have a friend of mine, Shane, who's the who's going to be a special guest, like Carla is today. He is with Seed and Spark in LA. And so they invest and they in content businesses, and they also incubate new formats, things like that. They're based in LA, but you don't have to be based in LA in order for them to invest or co-create. So I will tweet out the schedule. I can't remember which day he's with us. It might even be tomorrow. So I think he could be a good resource because he's got a really extensive list of investors that he works with in content businesses as well. And then I helped the founder and chairman of Slated raise for Slated. Slated has a massive database and community of accredited investors, primarily for documentaries and for feature films. So more in the projects themselves as opposed to the entities, although you do have to structure it in a newco in order for them to invest. So I would also take a look at them, and then I'll share some other sources of capital on Twitter. But to Shauna's point, a lot of, in my experience, a lot of VCs in tech shy away from content-driven businesses because they often require so much human capital in order to grow, in order to scale. So they tend to be more costly than some other types of businesses. But what I would say to that is that there have been these success stories, some that, Shauna and others have mentioned, like Skim and others, and Huffington Post, like Tim mentioned, but also even businesses like Calm and Headspace, which have become, these unicorns, but are largely content-driven businesses. So what I would say is that if you can find ways to introduce, novel or innovative ways to scale the content business and to get those higher levels of engagement and retention, and also potentially monetization, then those aspects start to become much more attractive to a wider set of investors, even ones who have kind of shied away from content in the past. So I'm Angel, and I'm done. I hope that's helpful.
Very helpful.
I'd like to add maybe a couple of additional angles. So first of all, when it comes to media as an investment, I think you have to distinguish between D2C and more specialist B2B publications. If you're playing in a more specialized niche, investors that might also be interested are people like Informa Ventures. Now, Informa has a massive event arm that just lost about $1.8 billion last year in revenues, so they're not in the greatest place. But they are a reasonably active investor, because what many people don't know is that Informa is also a very, very large niche publisher in the B2B space. So that's one thing. And then the other is if you're in the digital media side, there are often additional angles that help on the way, so that content, to a technology investor, as Angel mentioned, is often a bit scary because it tends to be expensive to produce and harder to reproduce. The underlying publishing tools, however, this is stuff that gets people all warm and fuzzy. And when you think of people like Chartbeat or Sovereign, who are now effectively positioning themselves as publishing technology, when in effect they were multi-site publishers to start with. So it's a conduit into reaching consumers, reaching advertising advertisers, etc., either more cheaply or at higher volume. This is Volker. I'm done speaking.
Hi, Unique. It's Carla. I just had a couple of quick thoughts on this, and I agree with everything that's been said. And I guess media is such an all-encompassing term, so it's kind of hard to know what specifically you're talking about. But I think if it's a sort of online publication, something like The Skim or Huffington Post, I think investors are nervous about things like that, and just because it's hard to make good money on them, and so I think it's really important to show a business model that is going to accelerate. So something that goes beyond ad revenue and sponsored posts and affiliate marketing and affiliate sites and all of that to something that's going to really engage, big brands in it and lots of people in new ways. So I don't know if you're willing to share a little bit more about what this media company is, but that might be helpful to us. I'm Carla, and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point, Carla. I can say a few things, and this is just kind of from my experience leading content strategy for major brands like Dell Technologies, and also working in an agency where trying to figure out how content can be used to generate value for brands, but also still solve consumer goals. So one of the things that I've noticed kind of in the UX IA space is that the experience essentially isn't designed really well for people with disabilities. And that's a major, major pain point that I'm seeing across all of my friends who work in big tier media. So that's one of the components for better UX. But to kind of answer your question really, really succinctly, is that there are a lot of opportunities to create a media experience that is based on AI and user experience. So there's that.
Great. Well, I think if, again, it's Carla, I think if you've got something that's really new and innovative and differentiated, then that's interesting, and you can show how that can be monetized. I mean, then I think that's going to open some doors for you. I'm Carla. I'm done speaking.
And Unique, one of my prior startups that I founded called Sensei, one of the aspects of what we did was utilizing AI and ML to, first of all, sniff out in real time what content in social media was kind of getting traction. So before you'd hit kind of trending and tweets and whatnot, and then to be able to look through a company or in our case we our customers were celebrities, athletes, entertainers, musicians, and we were growing in small business. But it was then to look through their kind of media asset library, and that was video and images and also copy, to try to match to see if they had content that would be relevant or contextualize in real time to then make recommendations as to what they should post. It was very early days in terms of AI and ML, and it was really challenging in a lot of different ways. But I'm very interested in that space, and I'm happy to share some of the insights. Things have moved on quite significantly in the last few years, and so I think the feasibility of some of the things that we were doing, that required more manpower, are much easier to do at scale now. So I like the angle that you're coming from, especially from an accessibility standpoint. But yeah, I'm just happy to be a resource. I like the sound of where your head's kind of going in this area. I'm Angel. I'm done.
Thank you, Angel.
Yeah, that's very true. What I just said. I'm an angel investor in the chair of a company called Biblio, who basically doing an AI-driven recommender system. Now they are in the publishing technology space, but they work with a ton of content. They effectively index that and then recommend on the basis of the article you just read, rather than suggesting that you should learn 21 ways on, I don't know, clean your fingernails. And so when you say that you're basically using AI, ML, whatever it might be, in order to increase the user experience for disadvantaged users, there is your technology angle, and that could take a little bit the anxiety that some traditional tech investors have in that space away. I'm Volker, I'm done speaking.
Okay, thank you for your question, Unique. Hopefully you have had that addressed. And if you need any further insights, please look at the profiles of the investor panel and reach out to them. Resetting the room for a minute, we're here talking about all things pertaining to fundraising. We have a highly esteemed investor panel full of angels and VCs answering questions for those in the audience. We're back at 12 p.m. Pacific time each day. And if you're finding value with the moderators, I'd invite you to give them a follow. Also, click the bell icon at the top of their profile so that you may be notified the next time they are speaking in a room. And in the essence of time, we're going to quickly get to Charlie. And Charlie is an inventor of consumer products. Hi, Charlie. Welcome to the stage. If you could start by saying, my question is, and this is Taylor. I'm finished speaking.
Hi, guys. This is Charlie. And my question is, when it comes to investing in consumer products, how willing are investors to to invest in the actual manufacturing of the products versus the company itself? And I'm finished speaking.
Are you asking about taking a loan, or are you asking about what type, when you say invest in the company itself, do you mean the vision and the long-term thing, or do you mean the legal entity or structure? And what would investment, what do you mean by invest in the manufacturing? What does that mean to you? Because I think there might be a disconnect between what you're saying and how we're understanding it.
Yeah, no problem. So I've got patents on a new shower liner that literally it adds about 20 cents to the actual product, but you can get about 5 to 10 times the actual product value when it comes to the retailer. We've been working with China. COVID hit. The manufacturers of PEVA products, a lot of them were forced to go into PPE manufacturing, and it just kind of woke me up to the fact that if I get an investor, would I be better positioned to pitch it from the perspective of bringing automated systems here in the U.S. and manufacture out of the U.S. and have it here in our own backyard, and the investors invested in obviously the machinery and the actual product in the company? Or should I focus on going ahead, staying in China, and just forging relationships that way and pitch it that way? And I'm finished speaking.
Hi, Charlie. So I think this is just a capital allocation question, right? So, I think investors are willing to fund both. But obviously, if it's a proven product and you need to own the supply chain, then it's better to have the manufacturing, and you can prove it out that you want to own it, etc. Then the VCs and other investors, as long as it makes sense, are willing to kind of back that type of approach. And some VCs are more asset orientated than necessarily on the tech space in some cases. But if you're just starting out and still at the early stage, the usual approach and less risky approach especially for an investor would be to consider investing in a business model which was, somebody else would be manufacturing it for you, and then you prove out that you can, have a pipeline of customers, maybe in the B2B segment, etc., whatever it might be, your distribution channels. But and then once you've established that and shown that, proved out that the product's got the traction, etc., then you can consider, having your own manufacturing plant if you believe that somehow it's going to keep your product, either give it a longer sustainable competitive advantage, or you're going to need to have the R&D in the long term in the US, or there's some kind of other area that's going to help in the longer term.
Greatly appreciate that. So we've proven the product, and luckily we got an order, a large order from a large retailer that we didn't accept because we saw what was happening in China with COVID, and that really worked out to our favor, to the fact that we didn't accept the order. And we did a proof of concept several years ago with a slightly modified product. And so we've proven that the consumers want the product. We've got the retailers that are wanting the product. It just, I guess my fear is that if I go into China, it's just dealing with the counterfeiters and the copycats trying to come across. Now we have IP in China, but that only goes so far. So I thought maybe trying to manufacture it here in the States would be a better angle, or if anything, bring it into the equipment. We've already sourced the equipment. We know how much it's going to cost. But our other thought was maybe going into the manufacturing just across the border in Mexico. But I'm just trying to feel how investors are going to see it and what's the best angle to pitch it to investors. Because, shower liners are a commodity. So it literally is a volume play.
Yeah, so the way that an investor is going to view it, right, is quite straightforward. Firstly, if you're a manufacturer and you want, and your history and your competitive advantage is, I am a manufacturer, then by all means, a VC or an investor is going to be quite happy backing a manufacturer to build out a new automated plant, because they're going to see the margins, increase, et cetera, compared to the other benchmarks that they're using. If you're a producer like you, and you have a product that you want to sell, then the investor is going to want to de-risk themselves. So it's going to be very rare that an investor is going to say, yeah, we trust that your product's going to sell so well that we're going to be willing to buy expensive plant from day one to fund that. That's the kind of the way that the investors are going to think about it.
Great. And then leading to that, this will be my final question, and I'll get off and you can push me down, and I appreciate it, is I noticed that somebody mentioned Saba has a list of investors. I'm assuming there's some investors that focus on consumer products.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources on Saba's website. I would also say that you should check out Angel's website as well. She's got an angel club that she's building out. She's got loads of resources on there as well, and some good entrepreneurs and forums, etc., that you can kind of you go around and meet other people.
Done.
A lot
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Product entrepreneurs, and there's actually a couple of investors who are scheduled to speak in April. And then the other thing I would suggest is looking at Clearbank. Clearbank, I know that they invest in working capital. I don't know if they have any guardrails around manufacturing, but Andrew's been in here a few times. If anyone knows for sure on Clearbank, they can feel free to share it now. But I can also ask Andrew specifically about manufacturing. Angel, I'm done.
I was just gonna say, I think Clearbank, it tends to be you need like several months of revenue. I don't think the guardrails are manufacturing, but if you haven't sold the product yet, they tend to not fund.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, well, Charlie, hopefully that answered your questions. Thanks for joining us today. And we are going to go to Eric, and Eric is building an ecosystem to connect athletes and the professional sporting world through technology. Eric, if you could start by saying, my question is, we will get started. This is Taylor, and I'm finished speaking.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. Hi, Angel. Hi, Volker. Hi, Tim. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Nikki. Hi, David. And hi, Carla. Hi, Spencer. Hi, Paulina. Hi, Shauna, and hi, Jakriti. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And my name is Eric, as I already mentioned, and I'm based in the Netherlands. And my question is, are there any funds that would be interested in investing in sports tech company such as ours, Eclue and Taxon? So maybe to give you more background at what we do here is we at Eclue and Taxon, we are building the next generation social sport economy in combination with our smartware and our blockchain software solution. And in a sense, we're going to be selling the smart suite and also providing SaaS services such as a team management platform and scouting platform down the line, as well as an AI-based personal virtual trainer for the athletes to utilize. So in that sense, we are at the point, maybe to our traction, we are at the point where as a startup, we have been actually looking for funding for a while, but we haven't received any. So we decided to take the matter in our hands and actually start building the prototype ourselves. So in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we actually will have the prototype built up. And we also started the application for our patent, which is actually now done and should be filed and complete this week. So at this point, we are actually the team is, from what I can say as a founder, I can see we are highly motivated, but obviously most team members are working 3 jobs at a time, also being student also at the same time, which makes it very difficult to be able to focus and build the whole ecosystem as we would like to, and also put the effort and the time as we would like to. So my question in the sense is to ask whether there are possible funds that will be able to help us out in the Netherlands. This is Eric, and I'm done speaking.
Hey Eric, it's Nikita. I'm not sure if you've seen, well, I wouldn't say recent, but if you've seen Sports Tech X's report of all the VC kind of trends and companies investing in the space. Have you seen it?
Not quite sure. I don't think so. But you could
Okay,
maybe
if you
elaborate
send
on
me a DM, I'll send it over. It kind of really illustrates, sorry, my English is, illustrates all the exits and multi-million-dollar deals, funding rounds, IPOs, I think, and it's really looking at where the funnel is. And generally in Europe, they're saying it's in the United Kingdom, but again, there is a growing kind of remit in that. So US funds it completely, it takes up 85%, but there is a few in France and Romania and Sweden. So I wouldn't say Netherlands specifically, but it is there. And then the other thing to look at, which isn't Europe relevant, but recently a fund launch in America called The Draft, and it's a partnership between 2 companies. So you should definitely check them out and see where their SEO links lead. But if you send me a DM, I will definitely send you the report because it's very in depth and it really gives you a good insight into the funds to contact. And I'm Nikita, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you very much. I definitely will send you a DM, and thank you for the information.
Hey, Eric, I was just going to say one more thing, which is that I think one reason you might be having trouble now is that if you're reaching out to a fund and your pre-product, like funds, like VCs tend to go a little bit later, right? So if you're trying to fund the original development of the product, there I would just go to angel investors or try and have someone bring you to their angel syndicate, because going after funds, they just, most of them, or if not all of them, won't invest in pre-product companies. So I think the exciting side of that is that once you finish your product, your horizon of who you can talk to and who might invest opens up incredibly substantially. So that's just something that I think is encouraging, is like look to the future, because if you can get past the product, then your ability to fundraise gets much easier.
Thank you very much. I noted it down, and I will definitely start also spreading my look into angel investors. And we've been looking into angel investors, but obviously we're looking into actually at anything. I'm reaching out to anybody and any VC that I could think of and that I can actually get in touch, because some don't even reply. So that's kind of like why I love Clubhouse, so we can get in touch with the VCs directly.
Yeah, One thing I just say there is, like, it might not be a good use of your time to reach out to anyone who's a VC at this point, because they just won't, like if you want to start curating a relationship for later, that's fine. But the approach of I'm just reaching out to anyone that will talk to me is not a good approach, in my opinion, for the reason of you're going to end up with a lot of meetings of people who just can't do it at all, and it's going to be a waste of both your times. And the more focused you can be, if you can curate like 10 or 12 angels you really want to go pursue, like that tends to be a better approach than just carpet bombing anyone who can get a meeting with.
All right, gotcha. Thank you very much.
And Eric, one of our regular moderators who I think is with us on Tuesdays, Pierce Linney, who is from the UK, has a great little kind of video that I often post on Twitter, which talks about the kind of concentric circles of each stage of fundraising. And so Spencer is absolutely right, and I will repost that because I think it's just it's just a good overview of how you go about, building the relationships at different stages. So I'll post that on Twitter. I hope today, if not today, tomorrow. I'm Angel. I'm done.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I will have a look.
And Eric, I think, there is starting to be a much more active angel scene in Amsterdam, but also from Amsterdam, you can safely approach pretty much anyone in London, because it's so close that I think you will find some Brits taking that at angel stage, and I do think you are at angel stage. So I'd like to highlight what Spencer just said. If you now start approaching a VC, let me take us as an example. Our first check is usually between 500,000 and £2.5 million. So 500,000 at seed stage. That would imply that you would be raising £1 million, £1.5 million or something like that. By the sounds of it, you seem to be a little before that. And so not even a seed and a VC like ours would actually have time to work with you on that at this stage. So I'd look at angels in the Netherlands. I know that Prince Constantine was before the pandemic, at least, very active in the startup space, and a friend of mine, Toon van Noordende, he used to run Angel Island, if you're familiar with that, and is now doing a thing called Phoenix or so. And around him, you will find tons of people who do that, and that's often a good approach to basically see where are the watering holes where these people hang out together. I'm Volker. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, will do. Could you repeat the last name that you gave me? Because I managed to write down Prince Constantine. And what was the other one?
It's Van Noordende. VAN''TNOORDENDE.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Hey, Eric, it's Carla. I just have one little thing to add to all of that, which is I'm not sure how much it is that you need to raise, but you also, at this stage of your development, may just want to look at some crowdfunding platforms because, that won't suck up very much of your time, and you can focus your time right now on building your business, which is really important. So at this stage, I think that might be a good option for you, and I think your product would actually resonate with investors on a crowdfunding platform. I'm Carla. I'm done speaking.
That's actually excellent because that's our next step right now. That's pretty much what we're working on. Obviously, I'm trying to still get some investors for the future, but we are currently working on an Indiegogo campaign that's going to come out in the next 4 weeks, maybe to 5 weeks, depending how fast we can get it done and sorted with all the material we need. But that's kind of the plan where we're going, because this way we kind of like wanted to validate the product first of all with the community, with the customer, and see how many people actually were interested, and then from there actually we will have some capital to start building the actual platform and the actual product. So yeah, that's definitely a good idea. Thank you very much. We've been looking into that.
Thank you for your question, Eric. This is Taylor, and just resetting the room for a minute. So we are on to our final question, but you can find us again here Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, answering all questions pertaining to fundraising, angel investing, and venture capital. So please come early and raise your hands, and we will get to your question. And in the event that we do not, please check out Angel's profile and check out angelclub.com, which is a place where we have these very conversations in more depth. If you're finding value, you can also use the hashtag AngelsGems on Twitter and share the knowledge and information being passed along in this room. Give the moderators a follow if you're finding value and have not already done so. And with that being said, we're going to go to Jennifer. And Jennifer is an actress, a writer, a producer, and filmmaker. Jennifer, welcome to the stage. If you could start by saying, my question is.
than it would be for what we're trying to accomplish. So right now we're making a feature film, and I'm wondering, we elevate unheard voices and tell stories untold. And we were able to do a very high valued production Conrad series, which you guys can look and see. And we're doing a feature now. And my question is there anyone on this panel, or I don't know, anyone who's up on stage, who has background or interest in potentially becoming a financier or producer and helping with a $607,000 budget for a feature film that we are looking to film this summer? And what would you suggest as to how I can really find, because there's so many people on Clubhouse who say they can do something and I'm just learning the hard way, how I can really discern who's really invested in projects like this, where we utilize the tax credit in Chicago and we follow the 181. What would you guys suggest? And is there anyone who can help me? Thank you. I'm Jennifer, and I'm done speaking.
Spencer, do you have anyone in Chicago?
Yeah, so I get pitched movie stuff a lot, and I'm not that. There's one person. If you DM me, there's one person that I know who might be more involved in this. But I think one thing that just maybe is a more generalizable piece of advice is that like people who are VC or angel investors, so far as I know, I haven't met any that fund tech and also fund films. So it tends to be that if you're in a tech space and you're in the wrong space. And I say that in so much as like the best use of your time is find the space for people who do invest in films. I think so. From what I understand, there is like just a group of people in the world, in the country, who like all they do is invest in films, and they're ridiculously well connected, and basically no one else really wants to go up against those people, right? So that's one of the reasons that tech investors, because if like, for example, I could help with a startup founder get introductions to developers, to marketing, to yada yada yada, anything they need. If I was trying to invest in a film, I would have no idea who to call up to help the founder. And so that's why for me, it's not the type of investment that I think most tech investors will make. And although like venture capital and sort of investing is a similar theme, I would just say that they're not super similar activities beyond that. So if you can find the spaces that are curated for cinema investors, that's where you'd stop wasting your time. I really wouldn't spend much time, if any, reaching out to tech investors, if that's helpful.
And Jennifer, I think I remember you from Sally's room. Is that right?
Sally's room? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. It was somebody else's room, and I was a guest mod in there. And I just maybe I just heard you speak in another room, and I just remember being impressed. And
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And my son is on the spectrum as well, so I think that also resonated with me. So I am not investing in film right now, but I have in the past. If you want to send me your pitch, then I would be happy to consult with 3 people who are investors. I don't know what they're investing in right now, but I can find out. And if they are open to an introduction, then I will be more than happy to make that introduction. But they are active investors in film and have invested in many, you'll know who they are. So.
Oh, wow. You did message me on my birthday. You messaged me on my birthday. Oh, cool. I just literally went to my DMs and I was like, wait, this is you. That just like made my whole heart sing. Good. I can definitely send you an email with our pitch deck and our 1-pager and our, we have movie magic breakdown. And no, that would be so helpful, because I didn't realize this was a tech room. It just says fundraising QA with investors. So I guess I'm an idiot. I missed that. So sorry, Spencer. I didn't pick up on that.
And I should have put something in the description. It's just last week, I set up this whole calendar for this week, and it went missing. Well, I don't know when it went missing, but it wasn't showing up today, so I scrambled to get this one up. So that's why it's not in the description. So it's not your fault. It's mine trying to deal with whatever glitch happened.
But it's a sign I connected with you.
Yeah. In fact, maybe it was serendipitous that we did not put that in here, because you might not have come.
That's awesome. Well, I will send you. I just asked you what your email is, so send that to me, and I will literally just send you all the information, and then we can schedule a follow-up from there. And yeah, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And I'd love to hear more about your son.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you about that. And the email that's best to use is in my profile. It says info@angelgambino.com. That's the one I use for Clubhouse.
Okay.
So if you email it there, that's the best spot. And I'm nearly caught up with all the emails, so I will be able to get to that in the next couple of days. And Carla, did you have something to say?
I did, Jennifer. It's
Hi.
not all tech because I'm here.
Hi.
But hi. I love what you're doing, and I applaud what you're doing, and I would like to help you. I have a friend. Her name is Irina Medavoy, and she's married to Mike Medavoy, who's a big producer in Hollywood. He did
I know
Platoon.
that.
Yeah. So if you DM me, I will connect you with Irina. She, I think, would be very happy to support this. She does so much for so many, and if she doesn't, I'm sure she would be more than happy to introduce you to her world of friends like Roma Downey and everybody else she hangs out with.
Wow.
So, yeah. So please DM me, and I will make that connection for you.
You are amazing. Thank you. My heart is
Thank you.
full. I just messaged you.
Well, you know what? You're doing important work, and I want to do whatever I can to help you. So I'm Carla. I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Glad we could help.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that looks like it's the last of the questions. And so I'm going to pass this off back to Angel. This is Taylor. I'm finished speaking.
Yes, we're getting so good. Taylor, you're doing such an amazing job. I'm not accustomed to us getting done on time. So, so thank you to everyone who asked questions today. I love that today we had some kind of wide array of questions. And I want to give a special thanks to our special guest, Carla. And yeah, Carla, one of the reasons I was excited to have you in the room is because, we do get, as Spencer rightly said, we're all tech investors, and we're getting a lot of consumer products questions. And as you can hear, we're getting a lot of different kinds of questions in stuff that we also don't invest in. So I thought it would be good to change it up a bit in terms of our ability to be able to answer a wider set of questions. So I really appreciate you being here and being of service and of value to the people who came up to ask questions today. And always a deep, heartfelt gratitude to Volker, Tim, Taylor, Nikita, Spencer, Shauna, and Julie. Julie, we didn't get to hear from you today, but I would love for you to be one of our special guests too. And if you don't mind using that email in my profile, then we can get you scheduled in and set you up properly so that that you can get a chance to talk more about the things that you invest in, because I've heard you in some of the other rooms and just really appreciated your perspective. And David, always welcome your thoughts, and I'm glad you were able to elaborate on that one. So thank you. And Jags, always just happy to see that smile show up in here. So I look forward to seeing you back here again. And so just to let you all know, if you heard something in this room that you found particularly valuable, I encourage you to use the hashtag AngelsGems in Twitter and or LinkedIn. And we will either respond if you have a correlating question and or amplify by resharing your post so that more founders that are not yet on Clubhouse can also benefit from some of the wisdom that's here in this room today. We do encourage you to come back again any day of the week, Monday to Friday. And also to follow the moderators. If you click on the bell, you'll have an option to always follow the moderator or sometimes follow. And if you go to my profile and you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see a black icon with white writing, and it says AC with a halo at the top. That's Angel Club. We're doing a lot of our rooms in there. This Monday, so a week from today, we are doing a deep dive session on valuations. So if you want to learn more about how to go about arriving at or building consensus around valuations for your business, or just generally to understand how they kind of work and how VCs go about it, how angels go about it, accelerators go about it, then I encourage you to attend that session. And that one is going to start at 10 a.m. next Monday, and that one will be a couple of hours. So
10 a.m. What time? We should always say the time zone because it gets confusing.
Yes, thank you. That's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific. 10 a.m. Pacific, 11, 12, 1 p.m. Eastern. And help me, Volker, UK. It will be
6 p.m. UK.
Yes, thank you. It's only 2 hours earlier. I could have figured that one out. Thank you. And so that will be next week, Monday. But we are here every day this week at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time. So please do feel free to come back and look around the room to see if there's anyone that could be a customer, a partner, a mentor, advisor, an investor, or maybe just a friend. Maybe you've got some mutual interests. So please do connect with others in the room, and we'll see you back here. So did anyone do anything fun? I shared with you guys my Tahoe trip. What I didn't share with you guys is that we ended up crashing the snowmobile. So Tim, you're like, drive safely. I drove safely in the car, and then once I got on the snowmobile, I went a little crazy. We smashed the windshield.
Oh no.
Wow. Yeah, but we were safe, so it was okay.
So you're saying you nearly took your head off, basically.
Yeah, right, yeah. But I mean, Bronco's 13, and so he's like, that was the best part of the weekend, Mom. Cool. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you all back tomorrow, and have a great day. Ciao for now.
Thanks
Take care.
so much,
Thank you.
guys. Thanks, Angel,
guys.
for being such a diamond. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Angel.
I emailed you, Angel.
Awesome. I look forward to it.